How are you doing? You know what time it is. Let me hit the horn. It is the most human hour of your day. It is Wednesday, 1 p.m. It is time for tipping points and puzzle pieces. So glad that you can join us. I see my camera's a little dark today. I need to brighten it up in here. So I shall do that. But we've got an hour and we jam packed so much for you in an hour. I don't want to waste any more time. Let me bring on, we already gone with the man, the myth, the legend. It's April. It's the end of April right now. What's happening now? It's playoffs for NBA. So the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, the team leader, the Magic Johnson, the Michael Jordan of this thing. Let's bring up Mark Bullright Frost. How are you,
sir? No Shaquille O'Neal or Kobe Bryant?
Well, Shaquille O'Neal couldn't hit free throws, and I was never a big Kobe fan. So I did like Magic and those Lakers, but I did not like the Kobe Lakers.
Okay, well, there's Larry Bird, too. We forgot him.
I'm a New York Knick. I was born in New York, so hate Boston. Yeah.
Oh, where's my Boston Red Sox hat?
Oh, man. Are you serious?
Since I was 6 years old. So I was one of the unfortunate things that happen in life is that people die, and I had to go to a memorial with Terry about 2 weeks ago. One of her family died, and they asked us to wear sport gear. And now I know that there's Seattle here and sport gear, but I don't own anything from Mariners. I don't own any Seahawks gear. I don't even own any Kraken gear. And if there was going to be the Northwest gear I buy, it would be Kraken gear.
It would be the Kraken? Yeah, I like it.
Because
release the Kraken.
Yeah. So I don't have any of that. I have exactly 2 pieces of sports clothing in my closet.
Okay.
And the choice of Boston Red Sox hat or a Minnesota Vikings jersey, which I'll tell a little bit more about in a moment, I went with the Vikings jersey. Now,
really?
The reason is because Boston just came into town and spanked the Mariners. So I thought it would be a bad show to bring my Boston Red Sox hat into.
I know what your Christmas gift is.
Well, okay. That's cool.
Release the Kraken.
All right. So I wore the Vikings jersey and I got immediate shit from people about it. And I said, well, this is not just a Vikings jersey. And I've had this a long time. My just had it forever. And it is a Fran Tarkington jersey, number 10 from 1963. In the 1963 Fran Tarkington Vikings, he was the very first scrambling quarterback.
I feel like that's got to be worth some money.
Yeah, well, it's just a copy of his jersey and stuff, but so it's not worth a bunch. But to me, Fran Tarkington was my favorite quarterback.
It was a little before my time.
Yeah, just a bit. I think you weren't even born yet, or you were just being born.
I mean, I know who he is. It just, I didn't get to see him play.
So when somebody starts pushing back on it, I said, hey, I'm not just wearing a Vikings jersey. I'm wearing a Tarkington jersey. And that's worth points.
Mm-hmm. It is worth points.
So, yeah. It's just like, it's a statement to me. And I don't really follow football anymore. I was a lifelong Vikings fan until the Dennis Green years. And then I just said, yeah, I'm done. I can't.
Really?
He's got
good years with Randy Moss and
Dante Culpepper and Carter and all this. They had the best team in the NFL, and they couldn't put it to bed for 4 years.
Hey, here's the deal, man. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, okay? So just understand 4 Super Bowls in a row and no win.
Yeah, so it's hard. And I was, Boston, being a Boston fan before 2004 was hard. It was hard.
Buffalo Bills fan.
Yeah. So anyway, enough about the football. Today's word is obsolete.
Wait a minute. That does sound like we might be talking about football still.
Might be.
Word of the day is obsolete.
Yeah. Word of the day is obsolete. And that's because the topic of the day is planned obsolescence.
Ah, planned obsolescence.
And I didn't have time to go to my shed and get this, but I have a Craftsman drill from 1970s that
Wow.
still works as good as it did the day that I bought it.
Wow.
And I have bought some cordless drills,
Mm-hmm.
gone through three of them. I don't have one right now. Terry had one. The batteries are dead. Hard to get replacements. It's not working well. And I'm going, what is the difference between a drill I bought in the 1970s and a drill you buy today, cordless or not? Except that they don't work more than a few months or a year. And
So
cars are, they're expected to turn over every 3 years. Why?
so let me ask you a question. Right? I get
Mm-hmm.
planned obsolescence. And the cars of old, those nice big heavy steel cars uh that seem to last forever. And are they using different parts? Do they know the failure rate and time of the materials that they're using? And so they know because it's planned, right? They're planning for it to go obsolete or break down at a certain time,
Yep.
right? And I
And
can
they
get that
miss
with laptops.
occasionally.
I can get that with laptops and technology where you're having I can't think of what it's called. Moore's law, where it's doubling
Yeah.
every 18 months. I get that kind of planned obsolescence. That's
Except
not really
except
planned.
that's not true anymore.
That's growth.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. We're getting into quantum computing now.
Yeah, but do you see it on your desktop?
Oh no, no, not for us.
Yeah, Moore's law has been slow. It's been slowing down for the last decade because they've chosen to not push that out there as far. And that comes back to innovation, which we will get to.
Hmm.
But what planned obsolescence is about is keeping a consumer base. Now, I talked to Terry the other day, and by the way, for those of you who don't know, Terry's my partner. She's also on our board of directors, and she's a former accountant, retired accountant. I shouldn't say former. I guess once you're an accountant, you're always an accountant. Retired accountant, and I've been seeing new cars with the temporary license for the last 2 weeks, seen lots of them. So there are a
Okay.
lot of new cars being bought. And I said, so what's the deal with all the new cars? I mean, people didn't suddenly get rich around here, and there's still all of the issues with money. She says, oh, she goes, that's just your tax return. People are getting
Ah,
tax returns and go out and buy cars. And I'm going, okay, that makes a certain amount of sense,
it
but
does.
I'm not entirely certain I would be buying the cars that I'm seeing. But okay, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of sports cars.
Hmm.
And on that note, I have to say something.
Go
Didn't
ahead.
Ford Motors learn their lesson with the Mustang 2? You
I
remember?
don't think so.
Do you remember the Mustang 2?
No.
We had this big push for economy, and the Ford Mustang came out as a coupe that was the ugliest, saddest thing on the planet. It was a four-cylinder Mustang in
A
the early
four-cylinder
70s.
Mustang?
In the early 70s, called the Mustang 2.
Wow.
Did not sell well. Okay.
I wonder why.
So, and bless her heart, they were trying to selling a popular economy car. But I just saw down at the Bay Ford, or what do they call Bruce Titus Ford over on Bay Street,
Uh-huh.
the new electric Mustang, all electric Mustang. For God's sakes, it looks like a damn Tesla with a Mustang on the front of it.
Really?
You couldn't make it look a little bit more like a Mustang? Come on, guys. Did you not learn your lesson early on?
It might be too dangerous to do so. If you've driven an electric car, that thing goes 0 to whatever as soon as you hit the gas.
Right. But if you're going to have one and you're going to call it a Mustang, should it not look like a Mustang?
Well, I mean, you're making a point.
Yeah, I mean, just straight marketing. Make it look like what you're calling it.
I wonder what it
It
looks
was
like.
a plain white Tesla looking. You look it up online and put the picture up. I'll buy time for that.
Okay. Electric.
Let's
Let's
share it with the people. This beautiful piece of engineering. Yeah,
American.
yeah. Let's call that engineering.
All right, let's see what we can find here. The Eco Boost, huh?
Yeah.
This is what we're looking at
Look at
here.
his face. Is he see the picture? Nope, that's not it.
Is that it?
It's the electric. No, it's the electric Mustang. I'll see if I can find one. Oh wait, you might have just brought it up. That's in the lower corner.
This one
Nope.
here?
Yeah, no, the back. No, back up one,
Okay.
or go down. There it is, right there.
This. The
Yeah,
Mach
the
E.
Ford Mustang. Yeah,
Oh,
that is the
whoa.
electric Mustang.
Yeah, that is ugly. It looks like it's like a SUV. Yeah, wow. Why?
Well,
Wow.
okay, so now you understand my comment about this. I
Yeah,
looked at
I'm
that driving by. I'm going, why? Just why do you call that a Mustang?
it could be a Hyundai or a Kia. Yeah. Wow.
And that's exactly the same model they've got on the parking lot, right on the street.
Really? Yeah, they should
Yeah,
have did this. Now that's
yeah.
nice.
I mean, something that's classic fastback. But
Mhm.
if they'd have done something, they could have done it. So I'm talking about planned obsolescence. I'm thinking their design made that obsolete before it started.
Yeah, yeah, you ready for it to go? Yep, planned
Yeah,
obsolescence next year. And the designer.
yeah. So I saw that and I'm just like, oh my god. But going
Wow.
back to planned obsolescence, let's talk about the three
Apologies to
stages.
anyone who owns the EMOC Ford. If you like it, we love it.
Yeah,
Everyone has their
let's
own.
go with that. Everyone has their own taste, and bless you for
Well, you
buying
know
it.
what I'm saying? We respect your choice.
Yeah, it's better for the planet. Bless you for buying it. So as Henry Cho says, bless your heart.
You know what? Maybe it's a theft deterrent.
Yeah, no one wants to steal it. All right. So going back to planned obsolescence,
Uh-huh.
without the reference of the bad the bad no the interesting design choices that Ford has made with that. Um, but with planned obsolescence, okay, it's all about profit. It always is, isn't it?
Yes.
If creating a customer base, continuing the customer base because what you had doesn't work anymore. Now, for a long, long time, that was partially done because it's not sexy anymore, it's not popular anymore, but people don't have the spendable income anymore. So just having to die on them is a good way to get them to replace it. Now, my way of thinking, because I am who I am and I think the way I think, for those of you who don't like that, well, sorry, but I think about it. If I bought something and it doesn't work anymore, I'm not buying that same brand again. So it works to some degree, doesn't work for all degree, but I'm not everybody. And some people will say, "Oh, I'm a Ford buyer, or I'm a Dell buyer, and I'm not any particular design." They all do it, or brand. They all do it. Basically, they're forcing you to continue buying. And there's a cell phone company that has been sued by the federal government and for this very issue, and has lost on every case. I will not mention who they are. Um, but I feel, yeah, I really want a piece of fruit right now. Anyhow,
But here's the thing: even though they're sued, it seems like the pharmaceutical company, right? They can pay the fines and they can pay the lawsuits because they're making so many billions in profits. It's fine. You want to fine us $100 million? No problem.
yeah, and they continue to move on. But
Hmm.
we pay. We
Yeah.
pay. Now, let's talk about the way we really pay. I mean, granted, we pay because we've given them our money. We're going to have to give them our money again, and we're going to have to give them our money again if something's critical to our lives. We have to, shell out for that. Even if we don't have to have it, we have to find ways to make do. Now, the real issue here is, again, I'm going back to scientists are saying we are using our planet like we have 1.8 planets. For those of you who don't really understand that analogy, it's like we have two Earths. We have one in store that we can just keep pulling resources out of because we're using them all up and it doesn't matter because we have an extra Earth floating out there behind us somewhere. And they say in 2050, we're going to have three Earths So we'll have another Earth, reproduced and floating around behind us so we can use. We don't have any more planets than this one, okay, folks? This is the only one we got. If planned obsolescence continues to run its path without us coming together and saying enough is bloody enough, and the way we stop that is to come together and push people to develop a company that doesn't do that. Okay, that gives us good, solid product that's going to last, and has policies to recycle the materials when they are at their end date. They will recycle the materials and reuse them. We cannot continue to landfill and waste materials the way we are, and planned obsolescence is the biggest evil in the box about that. I mean,
This is a
we don't recycle, so we get rid of it. What happens? It goes into landfill, and it's no longer usable to anybody because we haven't done anything with it.
this is a really fascinating topic. I'm glad you brought this one up today. It's got me thinking. One, how do we combat against the addiction of consumerism, because that's a big one, right? Hey, when is the next they who shall not be named, right? When does the next one come out ready to go, right?
As you flash
And
the logo at the camera,
and oftentimes, right, the changes aren't even significant, but yet there's
no,
another one coming, right? We're gonna sunset putting out updates for this software. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. So, and then we're going to incentivize you to get the new one, right? So, how do we, one, break our addiction to consumerism? Two, how do we get people to realize that, the naysayers and the lobbyists are going to say, well, this is going to cost jobs if you do create these products that last, 10 years, 5 years instead of 1 year or 18 months, right? That you are against capitalism and this is horrible for our society. How do we combat that? Yes.
I am against capitalism, and to hell with all of you. The dollar is not mightier than the human need.
Okay. But that might not convince those in power right now to make a
No,
change.
those in power aren't going to make a change. They aren't, because it is in their best interest to support the corporations who support them and keep them being elected. End of story. There is no other part of that story. Our belief that we elect somebody and they're going to take care of us, I challenge anybody who has that belief to please look at history. Please look at history. It has never, ever happened. But we have this belief it will, because there are betters,
So do this thought
right?
exercise with me. So how do we, if we can't break them, how do we break our own addiction to consumerism, right? Because I'm looking for the
Word.
2024, 2025.
Yeah, 2 words:
Mm,
self worth.
but
It comes
we
all
have
the it
been,
comes all the way back down to that. It comes all the way back to our own self worth,
but we've
because we
been
tie our
socialized
self
that
worth.
this
Yeah,
is our
we
self-worth.
is it?
Oh yeah.
To me, it's
Yeah,
just a tool I use to do the things that I need to do to to feel that I'm worthwhile.
right. But that's you. That's one person that has a different perspective on it. There are
You
people
ask me
now.
how to fix it. That's
I,
the way to fix it.
well, what I'm saying is there are people that in the dating world that if you do not have an Apple and you're an Android user, they will not talk to you because they get the ick that you're an Android user, right? I mean, this is the mentality of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. How do you break that, right? You're awake, you're
Slowly,
enlightened, you've been evolved.
slowly over time. Slowly over time. Remember, we've had this conversation before. Let me back to this. The study of tipping point says that when 20% of the people, and I'm just going to use 20%, if you believe 16%, that's fine. If you believe 25%, that's fine. 20 is in the middle. We're going to go with 20. If 20% of the people become enlightened, become woke, become whatever the current term is that the people that don't like it will cuss at me for, when you get to the point where you're aware of what you're doing and you're focusing on actually creating a better world for yourself and a better environment for your family, for your community, and you realize that humanity is very important, and that these are mere tools to enhance your ability to connect with humanity and not the end all be all of the world, you start moving in a certain direction. You make choices to move in that direction. You combine with people who are moving in that direction. And when a certain point that, let's say, that magical 20% start moving in that direction, the other people will start looking up from their phones and go, wait, what's going on? And they'll start following along, because that's how it works in our cultural programming.
I see you're a glass half full today, sir. I appreciate that. Very optimistic.
Well, you can either work toward it or you can ignore it. And I always figure if I put my head in the sand, then my ass is in the air, and some smart ass is going to come by and whack me one right between the legs. And I don't like that.
Well, I mean, your examples, man, are just very one, they're very visceral. But okay, that's not the example I would give. Yeah, I wouldn't like that either. But again, so for that 15%, that 20%, right? It is really hard to break someone who, from childhood through cartoons, has been socialized that your worth is based on what you have and your ability to get it, right?
Yeah, well, it is immediately, but over time, over generations, it that can happen. I mean, it's happened all the time. It happens all the time around us. And think about, our lives are very short in the overall scheme of things. For us to change our model is actually not that hard if you look at it over, let's say, a 200-year period. Look
So
what
what
has happened in the last 200 years.
well, what would be the first step? Like,
First step
we're having
would
this
be,
conversation now. I'm excited and I want to tell folks about it, right? What is the
mhm,
way that I do that that does not alienate them and say, "Hey, you know what? You're a stupid consumer. You need to understand that your worth isn't in this, that, you need to value other things."
well,
Well,
first of
what
all,
way
you
do
don't,
you
you,
train that to make people
yeah.
receptive?
Well, first of all, you don't go at them that way at all. And they're not stupid. They're just programmed. I mean, and all of us are programmed to some degree or another. There is no way we can avoid it, because it has been on us since the day we were born. All right. So understand that. Understand people are where they are because they are where they are, because of circumstances around them that you can't even understand. And because you don't know anything about it. And when somebody tells me, well, you don't know because you don't know anything about my life, I said, you're right. I don't. I don't. But I know if we continue to do what we do, we aren't going to be here to worry about it. So, my job, which is a little harsh too, but it's the reality of the situation. And I think a lot of people are waking up to that reality, because a lot of the stuff I'm reading is from a whole bunch of different people that are saying that, what do we do? How do we get there? And one of our one of the reasons we hope that a leader that we elect is going to change the problem, because we feel powerless. And that's part of our self worth too. Somebody else will be able to do it for us because we cannot possibly do it, because we are who we are. And oh, by the way, I'm missing a message. Let me get down to my phone. It's about distraction. It's about feeling helpless. It's about feeling like you don't have a voice. And the way you change that is you slowly over time give people a voice. You slowly over time get people to start talking to each other, working together, having a win that has nothing to do with anything else in their life, by connecting with their neighbors, connecting with each other, connecting over time. And we have to change. And I don't want to bust next week's program, but we have to change the way we think about things. We have to change. We have to look at the fact that the definitions we have for things
Mhm.
are manufactured more than they are really what the word was designed to portray.
Sure, we're making up new words and new terms on a daily basis.
And
But
new
let me
meanings for words that
go back
exist.
to this. You have folks in Congress that have done things like pass a sin tax on sodas and things of that nature,
Mhm.
and have outlawed certain products and said they're not healthy, right? And you've gotten pushback from American people saying, no, I should have the right to kill myself or, indulge in this, whatever, right? Even though it's a greater good. So if we're using me as a case study, right? Unfortunately, ashamedly, I've got two of these, not one. This is the new one. This is the old one. Oh, and I've got the watch too that I'm not even wearing. So how do I break myself, who is definitely a slave to consumerism, to say, hey, you know what? Planned obsolescence. This is ridiculous. How do I break myself of that and still do the things that I need to get done?
Well, first of all, you got to know that that's the issue, and it's got to be important enough to you to make a decision about it. If it's not important enough to make a decision about, and you can't even get to that level of thinking, then why would I spend my time trying to convince you when there's other people that are already on the edge?
Well, help me understand.
Okay, so
Because you
we
don't
already
know I'm
talked,
on the edge until you have that conversation, right?
right?
Or that I'm not
And
on the
so
edge.
that you're not on the edge. So let me ask you, how would you go about breaking it? Do you feel the need to break that cycle? Do you understand the consequences of not breaking the cycle?
Oh yeah, sure. The slave labor, the destruction of especially the African continent of mining these materials to make these cell phones.
By children?
Uh, the fact that this is ridiculous, right? That it perpetually builds this consumerism mindset for people to buy things that they can't afford and
Oh,
don't
and
need.
debt, and debt.
And
Let's not.
debt, right? Yes, you can finance these, right? Um, so yes, so there's this schizophrenic mindset that I have of knowing all the bad and yet still having it, right? And then I've got different ways to justify it. This phone, the second iPhone that I bought, was because it's a camera that I use for the conduit, right? And I
Right.
needed something to be able to deploy for other people that work for the conduit when I can't physically be there, or we're doing two events at one time and making the technology simple enough for them to do. So that's the way that I've justified it in my mind. So how do I then break myself of that because I'm looking at it as a work need? You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
So so instead of buying a phone, well, and it okay, a phone is a multi tool. Okay, it does
Mhm.
a lot of things kind of well, but not great. When I'm looking to replace the camera I'm using now, which is something I'm considering all the time as I'm researching and trying to find out what's good. By the way, the reviews of things are pathetic. They're paid for. They're I don't know who's doing them, but trying to figure out a simple question: what camera should I use for webcasting? What we're doing, podcasting, what we're doing. I have 17,000 answers, none of them good,
Well, because
and
there's not
yet
one good answer, right? I've got, these cameras here that I use, which are kind of nice. I've got, 4K Sony cameras that I'm using right now. I've got
but
PTZ cameras that I control with a good joystick.
yeah,
So
but
maybe I'm not a good example.
you're doing a very simple thing. I mean, you're doing a very different thing than I'm doing. I'm
Hmm.
standing here in front of me talking to you and having the camera in front of me. And that's what I want. I want a slightly better camera than I've got. Uh, my concern is that this one overheats as we're doing the show. In 1 hour, it gets very hot to touch. Um, and it's okay. The software to manage it's okay. I want something a little bit better than what I have because I want to expand what I'm doing. But I'm not going to need something like a GoPro because I'm not going to go outside and jump out of a plane in a parachute and talk about the risk of death as I'm falling. Though that sounds kind of cool. The idea of me jumping out of a perfectly good airplane is non-existent, at least not voluntarily.
Well, it would make our views go up, that's for sure. I'd watch.
Well, no, you'd be right there with me, interviewing me on the way
Yeah.
down.
There's a line, and that is the line: jumping out of airplanes, roller coasters. Remember, I'm very risk adverse now.
So anyway, the point of convincing somebody is that they have to convince themselves. Really, all you can do is provide the information. And in your case, I have a secret weapon,
What's your weapon,
Layla.
Layla? Well, here's the thing: Daddy bought Layla the same phone that he has and the watch.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
I'm
but
contributing to the next generation of consumerism.
and you're contributing to the demise of the next generation, and that's the part that I would talk about.
Yeah.
We are using resources like we have 1.8 planets, almost two planets, If we do not mitigate this overuse of resources, we need to look at what we're going to do to come up with two other planets. We don't have that. So,
So people need
so
help,
that
right?
so people
And
need help,
and
and they need to
I'm one.
understand.
Go
Yeah,
ahead. I'm one
we
that
need.
needs help, right? So
Yeah,
I understand. I get the ramifications. I get the consequences, right? I'm more enlightened than most. My issue is how do I begin to de-consumerize myself?
one piece at a time. So you use those as tools. Look at the things that you don't use as tools.
This is just some of my tools, everyone, so
Yeah,
you can kind of see what my studio looks like.
the bright light shining off the bookcase.
Well, because it was so dark, so I, made it a
Yeah,
little bit brighter in here.
I just thought you were trying to put a halo over your head.
That is kind of cool.
All right, so you look at the things that you don't use, like okay, pots and pans would be my go-to because I cook. Right, I got rid of anything that remotely smacked of Teflon or nonstick coatings or lightweight cooking materials a long, long, long time ago. I have all stainless steel cooking gear, and everybody's going, "Oh my God, things will stick." Clean your pants. What can I say? Um, but I've been using these now for almost 30 years. And I just bought two more to add to it that have the range in size to give me a little bit more flexibility. And I will probably have them for the rest of my life and give them to my daughter.
Stainless steel, huh?
Stainless steel. I have cast iron and stainless steel. It's the only thing I use. It's healthier for you. You don't have to worry about the aluminum oxide that is bound within the Teflon. And I'm not saying this happens, but these are things that I've read. I'm going,
Mhm.
if aluminum oxide has a chance of causing Alzheimer's, then what the hell am I cooking with it for? It says
Right.
it may or may not do that. I mean, there's going to be 18,000 arguments on either side. But you know something? It doesn't do that much for me. They're cheap pans and they start flaking into the food. Gone.
Mhm.
Stainless steel doesn't flake into the food. It's easy to cook with. The food doesn't come out tasting funky or weird. They have really good solid 3-layer bottoms on them, so the heat dissipates through the whole thing. I choose these because they last a long time. They're cost effective, quite honestly, for the years that I get out of them. And if you find them on sale, it's a great thing. So I use all stainless steel. It was a choice I made in my life to get rid of cheap things. I don't use cheap spatulas. I don't use cheap materials because I don't like getting rid of things. I like things that I'm going to have and that I can pass on.
Can you use
And
stainless steel spatulas on stainless steel pans?
absolutely, it's the only
I've
thing
never
I
cooked
have.
on stainless steel before.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I have an omelet pan that I pretty much only use for eggs that I
Mhm.
put a little, clean it up, put it on the stove, put it on a low medium heat, let it heat up, toss butter in until it melts, beat the eggs, put the eggs in, wait until it firms up, and then I can flip it. And it's this talk about stick. I can flip the whole thing. It comes down in the pan with the cooked side up. I put cheese and whatever else I'm putting on that day. Fold it over, serve it. It takes 5 minutes.
And it doesn't burn.
Nope.
Huh, fascinating. Yeah, I've never cooked on stainless steel pots and pans.
But this is my choice to remove planned obsolescence. The less complicated something is, the easier it is to keep it and use it for a long time. Start putting computer chips in; they have all kinds of ways of messing things up. I use a laptop. I'm almost afraid to say this because I'm superstitious. I use a laptop for 4 or 5 years.
Mhm.
Reverse fulfillment. Is this you putting up or
Yeah, you
somebody
wanna
else?
read that?
Yeah, large plastic containers, like Costco plastic jugs for detergent. They are that are thrown away. What if there was a refill option? It seems like an easy way to be more sustainable. And actually, many of the okay, so I will talk about Central Market, which is now Town and Country. Um, you used to be at what are they food co PFCs, the Pacific Food Co-ops. At Winco, you can refill olive oil, honey, um, any of your bulk spices using the same containers over and over again. They have water containers there that you can refill water. Terry and I have 3 5-gallon jugs that we put in cycle rotation. So every 2 months they are used for watering the dogs, and then we fill them up again. So we always have emergency water supply, and we have a cycle to do that. And that's how we work with that. So it's a matter. It's a little more work, but it's a way of rethinking how you do things. I mean, again, we go back to the tool analogy. Your tools are for what you do, and you need to keep it within a certain range. I'm probably a little more circumspect about that than you are because I'll use a tool that is good enough and hold it until I find the perfect thing to replace it with. And if that perfect thing goes away in 3 months, I'm going to be madder than hell. And I'm really suspicious of things that are mass produced and sold through various online organizations that aren't by main distributors. And I know that's really popular. I see it on Amazon all the time. People buying a camera by five Asian characters of some sort, and they get the camera and it works for 3 weeks, and then it doesn't work anymore. And it only worked marginally well to start with, and they'll have 90,000 people that say that it's a great tool. If I'm going to buy something, I generally buy from a name manufacturer because at least you can hold their feet to the fire, theoretically. If you can talk to somebody who speaks the language you speak and get through them, and you have 3 hours to spend to do it.
Yeah, what I'm doing is you got I'm so interested. I'm doing a Google search to see if anyone has generated a list of non-planned obsolescence products. Because that would be the first thing that I would do to research that. And if I
Okay,
was going to
so
try to change my behavior, it would be to identify
okay,
those products
so do
because
you
I
have
don't
24?
know.
You
I'm
have
so used
24 hours to
to
spare?
using things I don't know, right?
Yeah. Do you have 24 hours to spare? You could
24
start.
hours.
You can start with Consumer Reports, though they're going to charge you to tell you what.
Mm.
Um, but 24 hours because corporations have teams of people that search the internet for those very questions and then pop a whole bunch of useless nonsense into the internet and load it up so it's on the top section of it. And they keep putting it out there so it's harder and harder and harder to find real material. You have to be diligent. You have to be willing to spend the time. The internet has become less useful all the time because people have learned how to work it.
All right. Well, I am, and if you guys aren't using it, you do need to, I would say, lean in a little bit, right? Here's Chat GPT, and I just typed that in, and I asked for a list of 100 products that are designed to last or do not have planned obsolescence. Number one is a cast iron skillet, stainless steel water bottle, bamboo cutting board, glass food storage containers, wooden spatulas, ceramic coffee
Leather
mug.
wallet.
Huh?
I love the leather wallet. I
The
have one
leather
in my
wallet?
pocket.
Okay.
I've had that.
Mine
I've
breaks
had that.
down.
I've had my leather wallet for 20 years.
Really? Oh, man,
Yeah,
I am rough on wallets for some reason. Any of these? It seems like you have quite a few of these, I would assume here.
I don't have a stainless
Glass
steel
drinking
lunchbox,
straw.
but
Hmm.
a which drinking straw? What was that?
A glass drinking straw.
They've had. Yeah, I've seen those before. There you go. Okay.
Alright, we've
A
got some
copper.
more comments in the chat there. You wanna read that while I just kinda scroll this?
Okay. Yeah. Let me. Actually, I haven't opened the chat yet, so I'm going to do that right now.
Alright, I'll read
Okay.
it.
I have some other ideas of projects that use plastic shapes. What if manufacturers got in on the game and made the shapes work together for larger projects? Yeah, Google. I think it was Google. Don't quote me on this because it's 5 or 6 years old. They came out with a phone, I think, that had modular pieces. So as it aged out, you could just replace one piece with another. You can upgrade your camera, and it all became kind of like this fitted puzzle piece thing. And I thought that was a brilliant idea. Then it vanished. It's the same like Dodge came out with a 74, 70. No, it was 84. No, oh, maybe next or 94. They came out with a Dodge Intrepid hybrid uh, car that ran on diesel, and it claimed 75 miles to the gallon. And boom, gone. Never heard from again. And if you go search for it, it's hard to find.
To that
But
end, One of
Yeah,
the things that they've done is they've made these cell phones where you can't take the battery out, right? So you could just replace the battery, and now
which is
you
what I
can't
used to do. Yeah,
that's
which is
planned
what I used to
obsolescence,
do.
right? At its
Yeah.
finest.
Well, and here's some other things that the Toyota makes a truck called the Hilux. There was if you look up a YouTube video on the Hilux, it's basically an almost indestructible truck. They just made this for a work truck, and it does well. It's a diesel that gets 35 to 40 miles to the gallon. A truck,
Wow.
and you can't get it in the U.S. Just can't.
We got a
Never been
couple more
able to.
things in the chat
Yeah.
here while I pull
Okay.
that up.
Okay. People would buy items from manufacturers that were part of larger projects. Yeah, maybe.
And one
Yeah.
more.
Okay. I'm going to need a little more context on those. And it's not that you're wrong. It's just that I'm not seeing the picture yet. But yeah, packaging should be actually modular and useful. Oh, upcycling. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but you have to have people to think about that. Yeah, the Toyota Hilux, those things are brilliant. I watched a video where they literally drove it into the ocean, let it sit for 24 hours, came out, fired it up.
Really?
Yeah, these things are built. Yeah, I don't know about the new ones, but you can't get you. I think you can get them in Canada. You might be able to get them in Mexico, but you cannot get them shipped to the United States. And
Interesting.
Toyota also has a Yaris that gets 90 miles to the gallon and is sold only in Europe. So there are products being built and designed, and as reverse fulfillment mentioned here, to become more like upcycling, where you can use the pieces and parts, but
Hmm.
we are still not recycling anything. We are putting it in landfill or sending it to Asia, and they use what they have, and they landfill the rest of it. And those are resources that we can be reusing. And part of this, the argument made by reverse fulfillment is absolutely valid, that we have to think about the materials we make something with the idea that we are going to reuse them later, that we are going to recycle them. And that is the corporations have been unwilling to do that, because that means it passes the cost onto them, and they can no longer externalize the resources they use, the cost of the resources they use, but they have to admit that they use them and to be responsible for them.
Well, and there's two different things going on, right? So you've got planned obsolescence, but
Far
then
more than that, but yeah.
you also have cheap products, right? Which I
Right.
could still be planned obsolescence if you think about it. But I'm thinking about dollar stores and Dollar Trees and all of the plastics that are sold there, and those things are very affordable for a lot of people on a very fixed income, and
Mhm.
they're able to do the things they can do versus, let's say, I need to save up for a stainless steel pan that might cost me. I have no idea what those things cost,
I
but
just bought two of them at Costco for I think $29.
okay, that's not too bad. But even still, there are folks that, hey, even that might be too much, right? I'm going to Goodwill or a thrift
You
store to get my product.
and Goodwill is recycling. I love. Okay, this is going to be a two-part statement. So I love the idea of Goodwill. I love the idea of Value Village. I love the idea of a place where you can go buy somebody else's cast off and use it. I have several pairs of jeans that I have bought at Goodwill and the Hub and other places.
I have
But
ski
I
jackets.
but I just heard that Goodwill went gave up their now. I haven't researched this yet. Do not hold me to this. And if you have new information, please share it. But I heard that Goodwill has given up their nonprofit status to go for profit status.
Oh, really?
And if that's the case, that would explain why all of their prices jumped so dramatically. They essentially get all their product for free, and they're charging damn near retail on a lot of it. And that's not their role in the world, as far as I understood it. Are you seeing anything about that?
No, no. I see their annual report here. I'm not seeing any news stories that's like, hey, they're no longer a 501c3.
Yeah, or maybe they're partly one or partly not. I don't know, but somebody told me that, and I'm saying that would make sense. And this is my thinking about it: is that would make sense why the prices are so high now, because they
Well, I think
are.
with everything. I mean, they're still paying employees. They're doing training programs and everything else,
Right.
and they have cost also.
Yeah, I
And brick and
understand that.
mortars cost a lot. Like everyone's feeling it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
but
it's in
there.
some regard they get a bad rap. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, someone gave this to you for free, and then you're selling it for half of retail. It seems like this isn't much of a deal.
Oh,
The
and
CEOs
so
of
this
brick and
information.
mortar
Yeah.
organization received annually in compensation, with the average being 650,000. Wow.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, that actually kind of seems low when you think about it, at least with some of these companies.
Well, I will tell you that I'm
All
kind of
things
right.
being relative, of course, because
All things being
give me
relative.
$650,000. Give me half.
Yeah, it is. In the compensation for managing an organization, this is a different conversation. We can't really go down that rabbit hole right now.
Okay. Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's part of the issue of our culture and part of the thinking behind the. But it's actually the reality of the thinking behind planned obsolescence is more money, more customers, more sales, more money, more customers, more sales, and there's no thinking about the consequences of what happens with that. And it's
Mhm.
like, it's about me and it's about mine, but it's not about the people around me because they can't matter to me. And my question is, why can't they matter to you? Did people suddenly not become people because it would risk some of your money? Did people suddenly not become people because you can't have a profit you can't spend in your lifetime? I mean, these are questions that are hard questions to ask, and if you want to know what the conversation would look like, to talking about somebody who's having an issue giving up on those things, I'll quote Nick Hanauer to you, who's a local, as he would put it, almost billionaire from Seattle, who makes pillows. He said, I'm one guy. I can only buy so much. If there's no money flowing through the various layers from the bottom up, our capitalist system does not work. Our pyramid scheme does not work. And I cannot, none of us, Bill Gates, me, nobody can spend enough to make the economy run from the money we make. And that's the
Well,
reality,
this
which has
statement is
trickled down
very
to
true.
lie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
people are trapped in their own illusions that are spoon fed to them from birth. And so when you think about,
absolutely.
generational poverty and generational wealth, right? The wealthy and their offspring, that's what they know. Water is wet, right? This is how we live. Why would I live any different? The Molina
And why
healthcare.
should I care about anybody else who lives differently? Because they
Well,
don't have the choices I have.
oh, well, that's right. And they're also told, pull yourself up from your bootstraps. And if you want it, you just need to work hard and yada, yada, yada. And when
Yeah.
you actually do surveys, street surveys, and you ask people, folks have no idea.
Oh,
There are people that are making six figures and whatnot that are like, doesn't everybody? It's like, no, not
yeah.
even close.
60% of the people in this country do not make above $100,000 a year.
But that's part of folks being in their own bubble and not expanding out,
So
right?
I did not put a word out last week, and week's word is obsolete. Last
Mm-hmm.
week's word is going to be bootstraps. I want to know how many people actually know what bootstraps are.
Bootstraps.
Oh my God, you have to look it up?
Oh no, I'm just typing it in.
Okay.
I don't have any bootstraps on my boots.
Yeah, I rode horses for a long time, so I do, and I just gave a huge clue away.
Can
you
you
told
pull
me
yourself up from your bootstraps?
no. I'd fall on my ass if I try that. I can barely pull my boots up from my bootstraps.
You can also wedgie
Amen.
yourself.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, that
you
one
know,
just cracks me up.
those are the examples today, right? You're getting kicked in the middle, and then now there's wedgies. Interesting examples today.
They are indeed. Let me see if I can find
Oh,
something
that's funny.
here.
Oh,
I've used this picture a lot, so I'm hoping it's in my stuff here.
a picture of bootstraps or a meme?
Well, no, it's a picture I've used when describing how things work, and it's the head in the sand picture.
Uh, I'm trying to find
Um,
a picture of actual bootstraps.
yeah, if you look at Western style boots, they usually have bootstraps at the top because they're very useful in trying to.
Now, what is are these the bootstraps here at the bottom?
No, no, they're at the top of the boots.
What is this for?
That's fake spurs.
Oh, okay. I'm like,
Okay, so he's in Skagit County. That's cool. Um, let's see if I can. Okay, I'm looking at three things here. So give me just a second. Marwan, keep talking.
well, I don't know why you'd want fake spurs, but there's something for everybody, I guess.
You know, people wear dog collars too.
Well, this is true. But some of them
So
actually look pretty cute.
yeah, but they're still for putting a leash on.
Again, we all have our
Things
you
to
know,
do. Yeah, I know.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I just I, I think about it. I think about people I know wearing those things, and I just look at them and I try not to say a thing.
Layla's into Crocs right now. She might actually like those. Like all the
Okay.
junior high kids are wearing Crocs. It's so bizarre.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think I was going to go toward the head in the sand picture, but I'm about to give up looking because I have far too many pictures in this file.
Why don't you just Google it?
I
I've
think
got it.
yeah, I think I'll. Okay.
I've got the exact picture that you used too. There you go.
Yep, that's the one. So yeah, you put your head in the sand, you don't pay attention to things, and you seem to be kind of vulnerable, don't you?
It's either that or you didn't want to smell your own tacos.
Yeah. So bootstraps are little loops at the top of the boot that allow you to pull the boots up for higher boots. And let's see, 1 second.
They're for you to pull them up, the ones that kind of go up to your shin, for you to
Yeah.
kind of get all the way on, right?
Let's see.
When
Oh,
I
okay.
googled it, I couldn't
That won't
find
do
them.
any good. Yeah, I got suckered into something else. So hold on.
Get out of the dark hole of Google.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Wow.
See,
They just really buried the hell out of it. So I'm going to type in two more words and we'll try it, and then I'll stop. On boots.
and this is how people
Oh, what do you know? Found them.
you got it
Yeah, I just had to type in on boots.
on boots.
On boots. Okay, can I open this up into a picture? No. Well, kind of.
I'd say just share your screen.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to. I got to move it over to the other side so I can actually still see things. Okay. Back here.
Sir, you need two monitors.
I have two monitors. That's why I just moved it over to the other
Well, then you
monitor.
need three monitors.
Window,
See,
share.
there I go with my addiction.
Okay, so there we are. Those on top are bootstraps. That's what they're talking about.
So you just grab them with your left and right hand and just
Yeah,
pull, and that
yeah.
gets your foot all the way in there, right?
Yep. You slide your
And
fingers into the loops.
and so they're saying take each outside part of the bootstrap and pull yourself up from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems kind of weird.
It's a ridiculous statement, isn't it?
Try to see if I could would that work. I mean, you can't pull yourself up. You're just standing up on your own. Yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah, yeah, but that's that's the way they're saying that you can't possibly um, work with that. And so pull yourself up by your bootstraps, Marwan. Be better than you are.
I tried. Didn't
Yeah,
work.
and his setup is pretty good. We are working to, at least I am working to try and find a usable studio space where we might actually be in the same room doing it once in a while, which would be kind of cool.
Well, if you got time, you could always come over here. I mean,
Yeah,
you're like less than 5 minutes away.
yeah, close about. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, I mean,
So
Martita
anyway,
does her show from here.
huh?
Martita does her show from here on
Yep.
Fridays.
So
And
yeah,
no one
so
knows that I'm sitting right here in the middle of her guest.
as they're all working there, yeah, we could start setting up to do that. Anyway, so going back to I'm talking about planned obsolescence. Boots don't have bootstraps anymore; they have zippers. So appropriately, it should be pull yourself up by your zipper, which sounds kind of painful, but almost got him to laugh.
Oh
Anyhow,
no, I'm just again, I mean, for someone who's had that happen, usually when he was younger, sometimes in his adulthood, that's no laughing matter, sir.
the screaming coming from the bathroom. What
The
happened?
problem is when you have to unzip it,
Yes,
and
do
you
it
got to think
quickly.
about it for a while. Like I've got to unzip this now. So
Yeah.
this is a very dark day.
Well, so to close the show off, I'll tell a story. Are you familiar with the comedian John Panette?
If you tell me some jokes, I might be.
Well, he talks. There's a lot of jokes, but he's a heavyset guy, square, about the same size around as he is tall, and he's kind of mild mannered. Did you ever see the Punisher movie with Thomas Janes in it? Okay,
Hmm.
the heavyset guy with the blonde and the skinny guy in the building that he lived in. That's
Hmm.
John Panette.
Okay.
Anyway, he talks about going to an Indian restaurant. And he says, you better bring a sandwich because that food's going to go through you just like a bullet train. And what first I thought was music, I was pretty sure was coming from the bathroom. That
Wow.
I said, or somebody could have zipped too fast. But
So
yeah,
this, go ahead. Go ahead.
okay.
Finish.
So I was just going to say, one cool new thing about the subject was that he got an Epson printer, and it gets around the ink cartridges. You refill the printer itself, all four colors, and it is awesome. I have used less ink with that ink with that printer than I have ever used for any printer up to this point.
So
It
you
is.
guys really like refilling the ink yourself?
Oh God, it works really well. It's simple, it's clean, and I bought a backup pack of ink besides the big pack that they gave me, and
Hmm.
I just opened the second pack, and I've had the printer for a year and a half.
I think we tried it once, and I don't know what happened. I bought one for the office.
You
Uh,
use it all the time.
we use it all the time in the office.
You use it all the time in the office. Yes, that's
Oh, so we
actually
still have it. Okay, so we're
that's
still using it. Okay.
you guys are the reason that I bought mine.
Oh, got you. Okay. All right. I'm like, I could have swore we bought one. Now my home printer doesn't do that. And I can't remember why I didn't buy another one that way. There was a reason. I think maybe it was printing too
Okay,
slow.
so I'm at the last minute. I'm going to talk about. I had a Dell printer for 14 years, and it worked like a charm. I ran literally 100,000 plus prints through it. And then it finally died, and I could not get it to work anymore. I could not replace pieces to get it to work. Every single I've wasted over $1,000 buying laser printers trying to do the same thing, and none of them hold up. Not a single one of them.
Hey, Rob's online and he's saying yes, we do use it in the office. Rob, does that printer print quickly? And I'm thinking maybe I bought the one that I bought for my house it was just on a massive sale. I think that could be the reason why. So I'll give the final word and then you go ahead and give the final word. One,
Okay.
I really enjoyed this topic today. This has challenged me to go ahead and do some research and look around and try to match up what things I have that kind of combat planned obsolescence. I do have some stainless steel bowls. I'm actually in the need of some new pots and pans now. So when I do make that purchase, because the Teflon is starting to flake off, I will look into stainless steel pots and pans and start to do that as I can. Electronics are really expensive, and I am trying to use as much as I can. I am going back. Matter of fact, these cameras here, I've actually had for almost 3 years, and I'll be using them Saturday on the red carpet. And so, I'm like, okay, you have enough equipment. You need to make work what you have. And so that's one of the another way that
That's
I'm
a
trying to
great
do
way to
that.
think about it. Use what
Mhm.
you have first.
Yeah, unconsciously, right? But now with this conversation, I can be more intentional with it. So I encourage everyone else to Google and make a list and see where you're already doing it and find some other ways where you can do it. And again, that tipping point, if we're all intentional together, we can start to make a difference. And
Well,
ultimately, in a capitalistic society, if you're not purchasing the products, then they go out of business.
market driving, they will change what they're selling. And so, yes, is as good. And we are at time. So my word of the day is going to be intentional.
200,000 miles on the Prius? Wow. Nice. Your word of the day is intentional.
Intentional.
All
Be
right.
intentional. You want to know how to change people's minds? Be intentional.
All right.
Help them be
Well,
intentional.
that's what tipping points and puzzle pieces is. It's about intentionality, right?
Mhm.
Community, having a conversation together, which is great. A real chick magnet.
As opposed to the E-Mach Mustang.
We all got jokes today. I love it.
Yeah,
All right.
and
Well,
thank you for attending. And your voice is really good to have on the program. So please come back and talk to us again.
oh yeah, reverse has been here before.
Okay,
Um, yeah, a great show as always. The show is always made great by participation. We appreciate you for tuning in. We'll be back here next Wednesday, same time, same bad channel. For Mark Ray Frost, I'm Marwan Cameron. This is Tipping Points and Puzzle Pieces. Join us at 5 p.m. for City Council. It is study session today,
awesome.
and we will see you next time.